Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 6. I told you we would be back as soon as we hit 200 followers, and wouldn't you know it, we did hit 200 followers. So welcome back to episode number 6 of the Coarse Grind podcast, Foodies and the Inspiration Behind Them. Tonight's guest hails from my lovely hometown of Honesdale. You know, they say you can never go home again, and fortunately I found that to be true. I went home, but what I found was a new, inspiring, reinvented culinary scene on the main street of my near-dear hometown of Honesdale, nestled in a back nook of Main Street, tucked so tightly away you could easily miss it. It is the absolute epitome of this movement and the man who runs it. A conversation started off with my 6-year-old about fishing, and I found myself snacking on artisanal cheeses and other such pieces out of nowhere, saying to myself, this is important. There's a food renaissance on Main Street in Honesdale, and my guest this evening is a full-on embodiment of what culinary Main Street America can be. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, the owner of Alleyway Cheese Shop in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, James Regelsky. James, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Nah, no problem at all. No problem at all. Like I said, you know, it was the weirdest of things, and yet in a small town, and anybody listening that knows Honesdale, I'm amazed at first, but if you know it, you know how small it can be, and yet to find this little lovely inspirational nugget tucked away on Main Street was amazing. So it was absolutely serendipitous that I ran into you, and I'm so glad that you agreed to do the show. So without further ado, we'll tuck right into the questions, start to find out, you know, who it is behind not only this place, Alleyway Cheese Shop in Honesdale, but the movement, the food, everything behind it. So we're going to start off with just some starter questions as far as your background, where you come from, and really what drove you to be where you are today. So without further ado, James, where did you grow up eating?
Well, actually, I grew up in New Jersey, Jersey City, New Jersey, and ate around Hoboken, Manhattan, and that's where I got my love for food.
Yeah, I can imagine that's quite a varied food scene as opposed to, say, maybe Main Street in Honesdale.
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. What were So Jersey City and Hoboken, when you were young and when you were eating in these places, what kind of an eater were you? Were you a good eater? Were you an adventurous eater? I know, having 3 kids of my own, you actually, can have very different types.
Yeah, I was an adventurous eater. I was a horrible eater. And I grew up with my grandfather, Italian household, and he used to cook Italian food every Sunday. And I started eating that, and gave me love for Italian food, but I never thought that I would become, anything in the food business. Just watching.
What was it?
Spark.
Yeah. And when you were watching your grandfather, and so many movies, so many stories show this. I'll use the word, but I mean it in a very positive light. Stereotypical scenario of those grandparents driving the culinary force. What was it that when you close your eyes and you try to taste it that you can just imagine and think back to?
Definitely his meatballs on Sunday and his homemade pasta. It's just a taste of memories, even to the day. I smell meatballs, I smell garlic. It reminds me of them. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I imagine that kind of tugs at the heartstrings.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, he passed away almost 3 years ago. But still he drives me to learn and just to love food.
Absolutely. So I think it can probably go without saying then that your grandfather was that culinary influence that really pushed you forward.
Yeah, it was. But I like I said, me getting into the culinary business was pretty much an accident. I was like in my 20s and doing construction, and I had a friend whose friend owned a catering company. And I worked a wedding with him. and it was time for the dessert course, and I just looked at a row of 200 plates, and the colors and the contrast, it really just it drew me to want to be a chef, and that was actually the driving point to get me to go into culinary school. And I was actually 27 years old when I went. I was on the older side.
Awesome. Can you remember what was on that dessert plate?
Yeah, it was cantaloupe, pineapple, mango, and just some fruit coulis. And it looked, yeah, it just seeing that, it just everything was alike, everything was the same, it was precise. And I said, I think I want to be a chef. And I was a high school dropout. I walked into the culinary school and said I want to be a chef, and that was it. It changed my life.
That's amazing. And where did you go to culinary school, James?
Actually, I went to Hudson County Culinary in Jersey City, New Jersey. It was just a small culinary program with really some exceptional teachers.
Right. And what year was that? And listen, you don't have to give your age. We're all friends here.
Let's see. I'm going on 40. So it was like when I was 20, so like 13 years ago. You could do the subtraction on that one.
Sure, I can.
It seems like it was ages ago, but it was the best experience I could have had in my life. It really changed me. It gave me a voice. It made me become a different person. It was just truly amazing.
Right on. And 13 years ago, I think we're so firmly embedded in foodie culture now that it's almost accepted / expected that people would do that. But 13 years ago, Food Network was just kind of hitting its stride, and the celebrity chef wasn't the cool thing to be. So you were still, I think, definitely ahead of your time.
Yeah. Like I said, I just it started 13 years ago, and things have changed so much. Like the things you learned 13 years ago, it just seems like old school cooking compared to some of the techniques that they do now. It's really evolving, and it's becoming into something fabulous.
Sure. And I think, and I'd certainly love to know how you feel. I think it's both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing that people are thinking more with their palates, but it's a curse because just like with anything like web design, anyone can make their own website now, whereas say 15 years ago they couldn't. It took a certain skill set. So I think it's both a blessing and a curse that it's gotten such acceptance to it.
I agree 100%.
That's such a cool story. So you drew your culinary inspiration from the person, your grandfather, from that catering gig that you did. Is there a specific plate of food aside from that dessert that really inspired you to love food and not your grandfather's pasta and meatballs? Like was there a dish growing up or while you were doing the catering gigs that you looked at and it seemed inspirational?
Actually, the first inspirational plate that I really set my eyes on was at Bobby Flay's restaurant, Mesa Grill. And the first time I went there, I was just in awe. I mean, the plates and the things that he put together, it was a whole new world to me. And he became a big inspiration to me early in my culinary career. I was really big on Bobby Flay's, bold flavors.
Sure. And I'm sorry, when did you visit his restaurant?
That was in my my first semester of culinary school.
Right on. So again, 13 years ago, when he was still doing what the hell was that show? Boy Meets Grill, right?
Boy Meets Grill. Yeah. That's when he was doing it. Actually, when I was doing my extern out in Lake Tahoe at Harris Casino. It was the Celebrity Golf Challenge, and I was just
Oh,
walking through the
nice.
casino. I got done with my shift, and I turned my head, and there's Bobby Flay and his wife. I was starstruck. I didn't know what to say to him. I was shaking. I looked like a fool. It
Oh,
was
no
completely
way.
embarrassing. Yeah, yeah. It was so cool. He was a straight up dude. He was really cool. He gave me his autograph, and he
Yeah,
said to come see him when I finished culinary school. I went to see him, and I didn't get hired, but that's just the
hey,
way it goes. It was a good time.
exactly. Exactly. At least he extended the invite, and
Yeah,
he's
he
always
did.
seemed like a real human
He,
chef, as it were.
yeah, I tell you, he was really cool. I mean, I saw Michael Jordan that night, but out of all the people, I just like saw him, and I was like, it was insane. It was completely insane, and it couldn't have turned out better.
And see, that's what I find the most when I talk to people who food means that much to. And literally that day when we stopped by, like I could tell immediately. Like I could tell I wanted to talk to you about food. Like people that are that into it, you could literally have the Michael Jordans, the Tiger Woods, fill in the blank with whatever you want. But if like for example, I took my wife to Philly for her 23rd birthday and we met Morimoto and he prepared 2 courses of our 12 course tasting menu. That's the highlight of my stuff. I don't care who I meet. Food
Yeah,
wise, like that means the world to me. And so Bobby Flay for you is essentially up
yeah,
on your pedestal, if you will.
yeah, yeah. He was the main person back in the day.
That's cool. That's real cool, man. Um, so there's your inspiration over your career to date. Going back to culinary school, to present day Main Street Honesdale. What has been, in your opinion, or in your wife's opinion, or whoever's opinion, what has been your greatest creation that you made, that you put your stamp on?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that. Actually, I'm a cheesemaker at Caulk and Creamery. So
Absolutely.
about a year ago, I started working on a variation of a Taleggio cheese. Her name's the cheese's name is Elsa May, and it was good the first season, and then I wasn't happy with it, so I scrapped it and I reworked the recipe over the winter, and I started up again in the spring, and the cheese it turned out to be a great tasting cheese, and it was the first recipe that I pretty much worked on myself and perfected. So that's right now. That's my pride and joy when it comes to the cheese world.
Yeah. And that's no small task. I mean, you can make a savory dish. You could make a dessert, but I think making a cheese, and I have no idea because I've never made a cheese in my life. I imagine there's more complexity to making a cheese.
Yeah. I mean, when it gets into cheese, Sean, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm still in amazement. I've been doing it for 3 years now, and every day I make a batch of cheese. I'm just completely amazed to see it go from the cow
Mhm.
into the creamery into cheese in one day. It's just something you really have to see from start to
Yeah.
finish to realize what goes into it.
That's
But
awesome. For folks listening who don't know, can you describe what a Taleggio
a
cheese would
Taleggio,
taste like?
it's very yeasty. The paste is yeasty, and the outside it's after it ages out a while, it gets a real grassy note to it, and it's got an
Mhm.
orange sticky rind that is created by a bacteria, B. linens or Brevibacterium. It's used in Munster cheese to give it that orange tint, and it gives it a
Mhm.
real, sometimes nutty flavor. It's real potent.
Wow. Wow. And see, that's a whole other angle of food that I think definitely with cheese, I think people consume it and give no thought to how milk itself is transformed into this spectrum of different tastes, flavors, textures, how do you control the mold? How much is too much? How much is too little? That's amazing to me to
It,
even consider.
it is. I mean, I started off. I learned one cheese to make a Gouda, and from there, I just wanted to learn everything I possibly could. So I did more and more cheeses, and then I started doing some research on my own. And then my boss Emily Montgomery, she's been real supportive in my learning, and she's sent me to Vermont, and she sent me to seminars, and she's really paved the way for me to become the cheesemaker that I am now, and hopefully, keep bettering myself as years go by.
Right on. Right on. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, my next question typically is, what, in your opinion, would be the next big thing in food? But I'm going to custom cater it for you a little bit, James. What, in your opinion, is the next big thing in cheese? What do you think that's going to be? Where can you take it next?
You know what? I don't know. I really don't. That's a question that's so hard to answer because there's just so many people out there doing cheeses and they're trying different cultures and different milks and I just I don't know where they're gonna go with it now, but it's exciting. It's just I mean because American cheeses have really progressed over the last couple of years and they're American cheesemakers really are stepping it up a notch and producing some lovely cheese and keeps the farmers working. It's a great cheese making is just a great thing, and
Yeah.
there's nothing better that you could say about cheese.
Yeah. And why do you think the sudden attention in the American population like to cheese? I mean, is it following along the lines of, in the late 80s, early 90s, everyone drank Riunite Lambrusco, woke up with a killer headache, and now all of a sudden we know the differences in grapes and regions and so on. Do you think it's the same thing with cheese?
Yeah, I believe so. Because you look at some of the cheeses that hail from different nations, and you know they're good, and then the Americans are taking it and trying to step it up a notch, and trying to mimic them. So it's just a great. It's great. It's a great thing. Cheese.
Yeah. It amazes me how varied you can take, like, you can look at a savory plate and you have a variety of proteins available to you, a variety of produce, and you can literally make millions of dishes, no problem. But cheese, you've got milk and creativity,
Yeah,
and you got to go from there. That's amazing.
yeah, and it's you have X amount of cultures that you could use, and it's all time, temperature, and you could take two recipes that look exactly alike and just change one step, and it just like makes the difference between the Gouda and the Havarti. But
Mhm.
yeah, you're very limited in what you have to use, and so use everything to the best of your ability. Best quality milk. You choose your cultures properly, your technique. You get that all down, and then the aging is a very important process. That's what finishes the cheese and gives it that distinct flavor.
Cool, man. Cool. So the next big thing in cheese might be a hard question to answer. Well, let me ask you then, over the past, I don't know, 2, 3, 5 years, what trend in cheese have you seen that you either are glad has gone away or want to see go away? Is there something going on with cheese that you're just like, please make this stop?
Yeah, yeah. I actually, I tasted it was a coconut Gouda down.
Oh,
It
that
was
was me throwing
it
up in my mouth a
yeah
little bit.
it was in one of the Whole Foods, and I don't know what creamery it was. I'm not gonna put it on blast, but I just tasted it, and right away it just wasn't pleasant. I don't know, it just wasn't pleasant. I guess cheese and coconut just it didn't go. It just didn't hit my palate right, and it just
Yeah,
left like a 2 mile trail of bad taste in my mouth. Showing it was horrible, and I had no water. All I had was melted ice, and I drank it so fast just to get rid of it.
oh,
Like, that's just something in my opinion, and I could be wrong. everyone's voices their own opinion, but it didn't go. It didn't sit well with me.
No,
But someone else might
I've
taste it and think it was delicious.
yeah, I've seen a lot of, fruit-based savory cheeses, and I can't a lot of times bring myself to do it. Although, like a what was it? I think it was a blueberry Stilton or something like that.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
I could feel that.
yeah, that could work. But just this one,
Yeah,
it just wasn't me. I mean,
coconut
you take
Gouda.
some fresh cheeses and you put fruits in it, and it's delicious. It just so happened that this one, it just wasn't.
Oh,
It did well to me.
I might have nightmares about that, James.
Yeah,
Coconut
I'm sorry.
Gouda.
I'm sorry I had to bring that up. You asked it. I had to tell. I
Well,
couldn't.
hey, listen, it beats the Brussels sprout discussion I had a couple episodes back. So we're definitely good. I think I'd take a mouthful of coconut Gouda over satanically steamed Brussels sprouts, but that's a whole other issue entirely.
Yeah.
So so here's James Rogelsky at Alleyway in Honesdale, making cheese, loving life. What's next for you? What's your 5 year? Like where
Uh,
you're at right now? Like is it expansion? Is it different? What is it you want to see you doing?
yeah, I do. I want to expand. My goal is pretty much. I really like to make or have a hand in making pretty much at least 80% of the items, with the exception of the cheese. But I really want to focus on producing more with the alleyway label on it. Things that I produce, my recipes, whether it be pestos, dipping oils, anything. I'm looking maybe to expand into doing some light baking at the store. Um,
Yeah.
and going in that aspect, not just a cheese shop, but overall a gourmet shop, with my products. That's what I
Right.
like to keep going. Since you've been there last, we started doing some really cool, some nice tasting grilled cheeses. I don't know if we, I don't think,
Oh,
yeah. So right now when they're limited, we're doing only about 8, but they're really tasty. Next time you come up, you gotta stop in. You
but
got some
see,
really
that's
good
that's the
combos.
brilliance of that back alley approach too, because yeah, you're only doing 8, but you're doing 8 well, I guarantee. And actually, I want to backtrack and kind of pseudo apologize because I kind of pigeonholed you just into the cheese thing. Folks, if you go into Alleyway in Honesdale on Main Street, you're going to find more than cheese. You're going to find a lot of cheese, don't get me wrong, but you're going to find a lot of cool artisanal breads, olives, I believe. I'm going
Yeah,
back in my memory, so help me, James.
yeah, we have different types of olives. We have homemade pestos, about 2 different styles right now. Bruschetta, tapenade, and do feta salad. I'm always change it up. Everything's fresh ingredients. I make them daily, every day. Hand stretched mozzarella. Yeah, we're just trying pretty much anything I can get my hands in. I enjoy it. I go in there. I pick up the knife and I just do what I do best. I just love. I love food, and I love to
Yeah.
produce food that people enjoy.
And it probably doesn't even feel like work to you most days.
No, it doesn't, man. I go in there 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll stay there from 6 to like 7:45, maybe 8. Push it. Run up to the creamery. Work an 8-hour shift there, and go and finish the last 3 hours at the store. That's
Good
like
God.
7 days a week. Yeah, that's my life, man. I move and fast forward.
Wow, man. But I mean, clearly the love is there. So that's amazing, and it speaks volumes. And when you walk into that store, it's felt instantly. There's no facade. There's no storefront falsity. It's you are in a food mecca to me, man. And I've been in massive cheese shops, but I mean, this one sticks out to me because of the pure, unadulterated love of the art that is evident throughout the store. So, man,
Thanks,
I think
man.
I
I
think nothing
really
but big things.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah.
To see that someone, sees that when they walk in, and I just like to thank you for the first time you walked in. You were a cool dude, and I'm glad
Yeah.
we got together. It took a while.
Yeah.
My
No,
apologies.
that's all
But,
right. That's all right, man.
you know,
It happens, and scheduling's got to happen, and we got it
yeah,
together. So
it's been
absolutely.
a crazy 8 months, but I'm glad that
For sure. Yeah, yeah, and I think, I mean, for me, I see only bigger and better. So the last section of questions. Now we're going to break out a little bit into the after section, the maybe a bit more out of the box. So just roll with it. Hang on tight, and we'll see where this goes. So I'm standing in your kitchen. You can pick professionally or at home, whichever. What music do I hear?
Oh man, it changes. I listen from everything to Zeppelin to 30 Seconds to Mars. I have Beatles a lot. I've been on the Beatles kick, but
Nice.
I listen. I can't even pin down one because my music style is just very. I just whatever mood I'm in.
More
You'll
mood
catch.
based than taste based.
Yeah, like if I walk in and I'll throw on some Metallica and then I could change it and I'll go back to my teenage years and throw some Wu-Tang Clan on.
Yeah.
Just whatever mood I wake up in. That's what goes on in the morning. And then
Awesome.
it's on in work. Listen to a lot of Lithium and Octane. It what I listen to, it just varies, and everyone I'm around, just their music styles vary so much. You get everything from 80s to now. It's crazy.
Love it. Love it, man. How now I'm gonna go and predict this answer in my head given the Jersey City Hoboken upbringing, but in the kitchen, how would you rate your mouth on a movie menu? G,
Ah,
PG, PG-13, R.
you know what? I would say PG-13 compared to some
Be
people.
honest. Be honest,
Some
James.
chefs that
People are
work with.
listening.
Yeah, yeah, I would say PG-13 less pushed. Then it
Okay.
could shoot up to R real fast. But
Okay, I
I
mean,
try not.
you are making cheese now. You're not on a line. So if you were on a
No, no.
line, I could see you going R.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's so laid back on the farm. It just you look out the window and you see the pastures. There's really no need to get obsessed or stressed. But if I
Sure.
was still working in the kitchen after at this age, I would probably be really grumpy and it would be
Yeah.
more G13.
Sure. Hey, think back to your days on the line. Can you remember what
Okay.
your favorite curse word was in the kitchen?
Ah,
And you can say it
you know
because
what?
we're not rated, we're not FCC monitored here. So
There was so many of them. Yeah, I wasn't. I couldn't think about it. I really didn't curse too much. I got cursed at a lot. Got a
ah,
couple of salads thrown in my face, but
nice,
yeah,
very
but I
nice.
was I was always cursed at. I never was the cursor. So yeah,
All right,
I wouldn't be lying if I said it was pretty much PG-13.
listen to this,
Veins popped out
James
of
the
my head.
Angel Regelsky. All right, we got you.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
got you.
I wasn't one of those real like kitchen, tyrants. I had fun. I like to have fun. I work with chefs that you would see throw saute pans across the room. Uh, and I won't even mention the name, but if you're out there, you probably know who you are.
Yeah,
But
very good.
yeah, he was crazy. Chef Ramsay really had nothing with him, but he was a great teacher, and he really pulled the best out of his people that worked the line for him. I mean, he was a great guy.
Nice, man. Nice. All right, so check this out. You're going to be
Okay.
stranded on a deserted island, and you are only allowed to take three foods or food items with you. What would they be and why?
Okay. Three food items. I would have to say Coca-Cola, just because that's all I. That's most of my diet right there is Coca-Cola. White Castle, just
White
because
Castle, nice.
if I was to die on a deserted island, the last food I would want to eat is White Castle. And then the third would probably be a dessert, and it would be a banana split, just because it's just so messy and so good. Just love banana splits. That would be the three foods
Nice.
that I would take with me.
Cool. Awesome. Awesome. What is, if there is one, a food or a dish, and I mean, you can think all the way back to culinary school, or you can think to a specific type of cheese that scares or intimidates you, like you're nervous to make it. A lot of like, you know, traditional chefs will say like a souffle because it would fall on itself. What do you have a food-based nemesis, and if so, what is it?
Wow. You know what? I think it would have to be a cheese these days, and it would definitely be brie cheese.
Brie.
It's just brie. Yeah, it's so temperamental. It varies from batch to batch, and you could do it the same way every time, and just every once in a while, it's just the hardest cheese to perfect every time. That would definitely be it. Brie cheese.
Right on. Brie cheese. Brie cheese.
Yeah.
That's the first. I've never had anybody answer brie cheese as their nemesis, but that's
it could be a bastard. Like when it comes to brie, Emily, she does the brie. I don't even like cutting it. It's so temperamental. If you do one thing wrong, it just doesn't turn out right. And that's the one cheese that I just like. I'd rather not do it. Anything else I'll do, but brie is just too temperamental for me.
right on. Right on. What would your ideal Last Supper be? I don't know if you've ever read the books by Melanie Denea, My Last Supper. It's a book of 50 chef interviews, and in it they're asked the same questions, and it's actually kind of where I stole the inspiration for this podcast from. They're the same questions. You know, it's your last meal. Who would be there? What music would you hear? What would you eat? How would it be prepared? And so on. So I ask you, James.
Okay.
Describe your ideal Last Supper.
My ideal Last Supper. Okay. Would definitely be smoked chicken, corn on the cob, a biscuit, and sweet potato mash. And that's
Decent.
just the flavors is just that would be what I wanted to taste. It's just smoked chicken. What's that?
Would it weird you out if I said literally that's what we had for dinner tonight, my wife and I?
Oh, then that would be perfect. I could die a happy person. That I just made some smoked chicken the other day, and it's
Nice.
just the flavor, man. It's just
so
good, so messy and so good.
Who would be there? Who would you be surrounded by?
I would be definitely my girlfriend, my close friends, and if my dad was still around, which I hope that would be the case. But it just anyone that played a big part in my life, to get me where I'm at, and provide inspiration throughout my lifetime. I'd just like to have everyone there, and it'd just be more of a celebration party than anything.
Yep.
You can't, you have to celebrate life.
And any specific location? Where would you have it?
Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe. No hesitation either.
No, South Lake Tahoe, man. It's that's the prettiest place I've ever seen in my life. It's gorgeous. And if I had it would definitely go there.
Awesome. And James, the last question, most important question that I say for everybody. What is food to you in one word?
Everything. It's everything. It makes me who I am. And I never had anything that touched me in that way, but food really took me from pretty much just a person who was hanging out, high school dropout. You know, it took me into college, and from college, it took me on a life path that I never saw happening. And now, you know, it took me here talking to you, you know, explaining my whole career path.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, James, I want to thank you so much. I hope it was painless. I promised you it would be.
Yeah, man, it was. You know, did I squeak up in some places? Yeah, it's my first time ever being interviewed, and I promise, next time.
Yeah. I'm going on record right now, James Regelsky. You absolutely killed it. Is there anything coming up that I can help you plug?
You know, as of now, I'm gonna just keep that one silent. I don't want to say anything until I know what's going on. But you could always check my Facebook page. Anything that is upcoming, I will be putting on there, and I have some good plans in my head, and just trying to get them all on paper and figuring out how to do it. And you'll see, we have some really good things coming up at the Alleyway Cheese Shop, and I just hope everyone could be a part of it.
Absolutely. That is Alleyway, ALLEYWHEY, as in the cheese term. So just in case anyone's looking for it, wants to find it. James, I want to thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been James Regelsky on episode number 6 of the Coarse Grind podcast. Proprietor, awesome cheese guru master at, again, Alleyway Cheese Shop. Alleyway Cheese Shop in Honesdale, 1023 Main Street, 570-253-0227. My producer has been Reverend Johnny Lamoria Robinson, host of the Pleasure Saucer podcast, and my name is Sean Rossler. I'm your host for the Coarse Grind podcast. We'll look forward to episode number 7. Till then, stay easy, stay hungry, stay eating. Take care.